We had our turtles, and we were ready. 3 hours passed, a busy 3 hours. We had our snack with Cornelius, fig Newtons, and lemonade. We tried out the rope swing, and failed. It was impossible. We'd agreed to come back that night for some stargazing on Cornelius's moon-viewing platform. We'd stopped at Bullfrog Lagoon, bagging 2 big turtles in 5 minutes flat. We dropped by our gingerbread house for some fishing line and a couple of plastic Ziploc sandwich bags. And we were now in position at the girls' camp. Pete stood ready at the edge of the forest, watching for my signal. Turtle 1 was under his arm. Turtle 2 was with me, up on the crest of the hill, overlooking the camp. There was no one in sight, but Pete and I were in no hurry. We could wait. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes. There was a cricket somewhere in the bushes nearby, so I passed a little time by trying to figure out what the temperature was. I remembered reading in a nature book that all you have to do is count the number of cricket chirps in 15 seconds and then add 40. If that was true, then it was 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty hot. Of course, I already knew it was hot, but suddenly I spotted Jill and Sunny gliding around the point in their canoe. They were paddling hard, but there were still some trees between them and the clearing. Pete could make it if he was fast. I signaled frantically, and Pete went into action. He raced out to the middle of the clearing, put Turtle 1 down on the ground, and sprinted back toward the trees, barely reaching cover before the girls cleared the point. Keeping low, I quickly worked my way down the hill and joined Pete behind some bushes, where we had a good view of the clearing. Right away, we saw a flaw in our plan. We should have picked a slower turtle. Turtle 1 turned out to be some kind of crazy speed demon. He was up on his tiptoes, practically galloping toward the forest on a line that would take him past the safari tent. He was a third of the way there already. Pete and I squirmed. If Turtle 1 disappeared into the underbrush before the girls saw him, we'd be down and out, back to square one. As for Jill and Sunny, they were taking their time, carefully unloading their canoe item by item. They'd been on a picnic or something, and they must have taken half their camp with them. Turtle 1 was cruising along in high gear. No pain, no strain. He wasn't wasting any time. Meanwhile, what the girls were mainly doing was talking. They talked about the raccoon they'd seen scurrying along the shore. They exclaimed about the rock they'd found with some kind of fossil in it. Jill talked about eyes. She said she liked brown eyes. She thought they were cute. She chatted about movie stunts. Sunny said she'd like to be a stunt woman in a sword and sorcery movie, so she could do things like leap off castle walls. Turtle 1 had his head down and was pouring on the steam. Pete groaned quietly. Now the girls were bent over the canoe looking for something they'd lost. I couldn't stand it. "Forget it!" I wanted to yell. "You can buy another one!" Turtle 1 was in the home stretch, nearing the edge of the clearing. Our gooses were almost cooked. Turtle 1 stopped. And here came the girls. Up into the clearing, their arms full of picnic stuff. Turtle 1 was straight ahead of them. All they had to do was look. The girls veered off in the direction of their tent. "No!" I croaked under my breath. Just then, Turtle 1 started up again. He only had 2 feet to go. "Hey, look," said Jill. "A turtle!" She must have seen him out of the corner of her eye. "Oh, and he's got something on his back." They threw down their stuff, ran over, and picked up Turtle 1 just as he was about to crawl under a bush. Whew, Pete and I gave quiet sighs of relief. Sunny held the turtle while Jill quickly untied the fishing line that held the plastic sandwich bag in place. "What's this?" said Jill, opening the bag and taking out our letter. Sunny looked excited. "Oh, it's a letter!" she said. They read it. Sunny looking over Jill's shoulder. Abigail Peters III, 5 Old Knob Road, Beacon Hill, Boston, Massachusetts, April 12th, 1986. Dear whoever you are. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You found my precious little Snowball. Isn't he absolutely the cutest little turtlekins you've ever seen? How can I ever thank you? Never mind. I know how. Money, money, money. Now, don't you worry. I can afford it. People say I'm just an eccentric old lady, but at least I'm a rich eccentric old lady, and I certainly know what I can afford. You can be quite sure about that. As for Snowball, please leave him where you found him. I only want you to tell me that he's all right. You cannot know how difficult it is for me to release him into the wild, which I shall this very afternoon, after the many wonderful years we have spent together. But I can sense that the little darling is not happy living in a luxurious mansion in the middle of a big city. He longs to have the fresh green grass tickling his tiny toes. He was born free, and he shall live free. Now, all you have to do is find Snowball's charming little wife, Poopsie. Finding her should be as easy as pie, since she and Snowball are never far apart. They are quite devoted to each other, you know. So, quick as you can, find Poopsie. Take the note from her back. Send that note, together with this one, to me at the above address, and I'll have my private secretary send you some cold, hard cash. Let's make it $500, shall we? Are they all right? Do they look well? You can tell if Snowball is happy, because when he is happy he will shake hands with you if you say, "Put her there, pardner." He is a very clever turtle. Poopsie, on the other hand, is quite shy, but she's loads of fun once you get to know her. Well, enough of my silly chatter. Just send me the letters and a word or two about Snowball and Poopsie, and I'll send you the 500 smackers. Hugs and kisses to you, and please give my darling turtles some hugs and kisses too. Very truly yours, Abigail Peters III. Chapter 13. It's got to be those guys, said Jill doubtfully. Doesn't it? I mean, who'd ever heard of a $500 reward just for sending someone news about a couple of turtles? Put her there, partner, cried Sunny. She was lying on her stomach. Her blonde hair hooked behind her ears, and was offering her hand to Turtle One, now known as Snowball. A turtle can't shake hands, said Jill. How can a turtle shake hands? It's probably got a brain the size of a pea. Sunny was practically nose to nose with Snowball. I think he's smiling, she said. Jill leaned down and peered at the turtle. How can you tell? Well, see the way his mouth turns up at the sides? Jill got down on her hands and knees and studied Snowball carefully. Finally, she said, Well, it does sort of look like a smile. She held out her hand. Put her there, partner, she said heartily. She had a great accent, right out of an old Western movie. She sounded just like Buffalo Bill greeting his old buddy, Wild Bill Hickok. Pete and I were trying our best not to make any noise, but it isn't easy to laugh your head off while not making a sound. If anyone said, "Put her there, partner," one more time, we were going to be in real trouble. Aw, poor baby, cooed Sunny, stroking Snowball's back. He must be nervous. Aren't you, little turtlekins? Pete let out a low, strangled squeak, and I quickly clapped my hand over his mouth. Jill sat back on her heels and examined the Ziploc sandwich. Then she looked at the letter again. The letter's dated April 12th, she pointed out. That's 4 months ago. Does this bag look like it's been on a turtle's back for 4 months? You bet it did. Pete and I had given the bag the full treatment. We jumped up and down on it. We'd ground it into dirt under our heels. We pounded it with a rock. That bag looked 4 months old if it looked a day. Well, it looks pretty beat up to me, said Sunny. There, you see? Sunny got to her feet and picked up Snowball. Let's find Poopsie, she said, looking eagerly around the clearing. She must be around here somewhere. Pete jabbed me in the side with his elbow. Poopsie, he mouthed silently. We almost collapsed. Jill stood up, still looked in doubt, but only a little. I don't know, she said slowly. I don't know, she said slowly. I suppose the letter must be real. It's typewritten, and I don't see how the guys could possibly have a typewriter with them. I mean, they may be goofy, but they aren't stupid. Why would they lug a typewriter along on a camping trip? Goofy? Who was Goofy? Yeah, said Sonny. Besides, it just sounds real to me. I know a lot of people who are crazy about their pets. I know I am about my dog, Clyde. Well, maybe you're right. I mean, just think, $500. Wow. They made a quick sweep of the clearing. No turtle. Then they started beating the bushes near where they'd caught Snowball, working their way slowly into the forest until they were out of sight. Jill had been hard to convince, all right. If we'd written the letter by hand, she never would have bought it. Sonny seemed gung-ho and ready to fall for anything, but Jill was a thinker. Now I was surer than ever that she was the one who'd caught on to our Wolverine scam the day before. So naturally, it was music to my ears to hear Jill's voice ringing out through the forest, calling, "Poopsie! Oh, Poopsie!" I don't think Pete and I ever enjoyed ourselves so much in our lives. 20 minutes later, Jill and Sonny gave up, and we could hear them returning to camp. Turtle 2 was waiting for them. I planted him in the middle of the clearing just about where Pete had put Turtle 1. This time, we were lucky. Turtle 2 was a very laid-back turtle. At the rate he was waddling along, it would take him a couple of months to reach the forest. Jill and Sonny stepped into the clearing and spotted Turtle 2. "Poopsie!" cried Jill, as if she were greeting a long-lost sister. "Poopsie!" cried Sonny. They charged over to Turtle 2, snapped him up, and removed the plastic bag from his back, and put him and Turtle 1 down on the ground. Then they tore open the bag and leaned over the letter, grinning eagerly. It was handwritten this time, and much shorter. It said, "Dear girls, congratulations, you found Poopsie. Now, for your next assignment, see if you can find the whereabouts of your brains. Your friends, Moose and Duck."